Bullshit.
It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm Dave Mastovich, CEO and founder of Massolutions, your no bullshit marketing firm. If you're listening to this podcast, that means that you're into personal and professional growth and you want to learn more about storytelling, marketing, communication. And learning can be very gratifying, but learning can also be humbling. And I know that personally as a leader and with our Massolutions team and all that we try to do. I can relate to how sometimes people, when they're hearing me offer an idea, maybe sometimes have a different feeling than I would like them to have when I'm trying to offer an idea on the learning standpoint. And I can relate to that because it happens to us too. We bring in consultants, we bring in strategic partners, we bring in new team members. We're constantly trying to get better. And I know I'll hear a presentation on here's what Massolutions needs to change and here's where you're lacking on this, and at first you kind of cringe and you almost get a little defensive, or I'll get sick in the stomach, or my nature is often to beat myself up a bit too much. So I'm sensitive to that. So when I bring up a topic like today, I want to make sure that I'm positive about it for leaders and provide specifics that can help them learn from this without feeling like that it's a mistake or something that they should feel bad about. Today's topic ties to your senior leadership team at any company out there. So if it's a marketer who's listening to this, I'm going to give you information to help you when you talk to your CEO. If it's a CEO or president or founder or a CFO or COO, I'm going to give you information to help you with your strategic team and your leadership team tied back to marketing. Most companies have a leadership team meeting or a senior leadership team meeting. At Amazon, they call it the S team, the senior leadership team. Other places, they used to call it a corporate staff meeting at one of the places that I was working with, or it could be called the weekly VP meeting, whatever it is. It's that leadership team meeting that you have at the company. And what I want to talk about is who's at that meeting. So I can tell you for sure the CEO or president or founder is at that meeting. And the CFO is always at that meeting. The CFO always gets a seat at the table because we as CEOs and leaders know that we've got to make sure that the numbers add up. We've got to make sure that we have our margins in place. We've got to make sure that we have cash on hand, and we have to know what the financial status is and look at our financial metrics. Typically, the person that leads operations is there. Makes complete sense because you're going to want to have a weekly discussion that involves the strategic and activation and tactical aspect on the operation front. You might have your HR lead or even someone from IT, possibly compliance and legal if you have enough of that and you're large enough. You maybe even sales gets a seat at the table, and sometimes marketing. I've had CEOs say to me, well, why do I need marketing at the table? Why are they really there? And this is an important thing. If that's what you're thinking, I need to help you to see that differently. So one thing is that the CEO, president, founder, the person who selects who's at that senior management meeting, or that corporate staff meeting, the leadership team meeting, has a misperception that marketing doesn't need to be at the table. So for you, what I want to tell you is that marketing needs to engage at a strategic level at the company. It cannot be primarily tactically focused or activation focused. So that CEO that's listening right now, I have to help you understand so you can take away from this the positive, that you can make an easy change. You need to see marketing as strategic first, tactical second. And that is a flip for many leaders, especially SMBs, small and medium-sized businesses, often have marketing as a tactical component that makes things look pretty and maybe makes sure that the story is told in a positive way. At a big company, it's also still seen for sales to often drive things and marketing to, again, be someone that is an implementer. So here's why you, as that CEO, that president, that founder, need to change that perception. You are leaving things on the table when it comes to marketing. And here's what's happening. If you don't have marketing at the table, if you don't believe that marketing is part of that key strategy of the organization, and you have a director of marketing or a VP of marketing or whatever title you give that person, but they don't come to that meeting, one of two things are going to happen. First, if that person is good at marketing, you're not going to keep that position filled. A talented person at marketing is going to leave. And if you're a marketer out there that's listening to this and you're in this situation, you need to consider leaving if you're good at marketing. The second part of that is that it perpetuates if someone is not so great at the strategic part of marketing and they are a tactical marketer that does make things look pretty, that does make the website good and has social posts that tell the story. That person is valuable, and they should probably report to someone that is strategic when it comes to marketing. So one of two things are happening. Either you're losing talented marketing people that have a vision, or you're perpetuating things by giving the marketing function to a person that's really tactical activation and well still should be valuable. If you're that person out there, I'm not saying they should fire you. I'm saying you're valuable. You can provide tactical activation of the marketing strategy. You're an important person on that team. But if there is no strategic marketer, you are going to continually produce tactical marketing, and eventually you're going to get lumped in a box of being very minimally important, and you're going to be evaluated on things like the golf outing, and if it rains, you end up looking like you didn't accomplish your goal. So you're evaluated on the Christmas party, you're evaluated on the homepage of the website. And so eventually you're going to be put in a box of someone that's ineffective or just a legacy person, or you're going to get fired and forced out, or you're going to leave. So if you're that person that's your tactical marketing and you're not at the seat at the table, then that's what's going to happen to you. If you're a person that's talented at strategic marketing and they're not at that seat at the table, you are already probably looking and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to leave. So CEO that's listening, you're going to lose that talented marketer, the person who can actually bring tremendous value and can bring you that marketing ROI that you so desperately seek when you're talking to someone like me. I want to make sure I can see what my marketing does. I want to know I'm getting a return on my marketing. You're not going to get a return on your marketing to the level you want if it's just tactical. It's not going to happen. It would simply be bullshit to think that it is. So what I want to do is take the positive on this and have you realize that if you aren't giving marketing a seat at the table, and you have one of those two scenarios, a marketing person who does have strategic value, they're going to leave. The other person that's primarily a tactical implementer who is still valuable is going to eventually get their image tarnished, because when you're purely tactical, there's going to be a tactical mistake because someone that's doing tactical marketing, they're this thing called a human, and they and their team are going to eventually miss a deadline. You, as the leader, are going to create problems that make them miss deadlines or have less than ideal products because you don't understand creative, and you're going to force your own creative, and then that's going to have them not look good. So then that person is going to be diminished and be seen as a legacy person, and they might struggle to get things done, and then they're in that box that they're the black hole of marketing. So this is what's going to happen if you, as the leader, say, I don't believe marketing should have a seat at the table. That's scenario number one. The leader says, I don't believe marketing should have a seat at the table at the weekly leadership meetings or your quarterly or annual strategic retreat. You don't have strategic marketing on the agenda. You don't have strategic marketing setting at the table. That's what's going to happen to you. One of two scenarios. Number one, the good, talented marketers are going to leave. Typically between 12 and 18 months is about how long they'll gut it out, some less. If you don't have a strategic marketer, that tactical person is going to think they're okay and they're going to keep trying to produce tactical, but you're eventually going to get frustrated with them and you're going to dismiss them as not bringing you the ROI you want. You're going to talk to someone like me and say, I'm not getting the ROI I want for my marketing. So then I'm going to explain to you this scenario, and you're going to either agree and we work together and you fix it, or you're going to disagree, and a year later you'll be talking to someone else like me and having the same problems. That's one scenario. The second scenario is when you have marketing at the table, but you're still having them in a reactive mode. Meaning you have marketing at the table and you're not asking them to drive the strategy of the customer experience, drive the strategy of customer acquisition, drive the strategy of telling the story. And sales does not drive the strategy of customer acquisition. They just don't. So all the salespeople out there can be mad at me, and the sales VPs can be mad at me. But the customer experience strategy and the customer acquisition strategy is driven by marketing. It has to be, because marketing views things in an efficiency, in an effectiveness manner, as opposed to an efficiency manner. Sales, finance, operations are in an efficiency mode. Marketing is in an effectiveness mode. The type of person that thinks this way is built to think about the long-term first and the short-term second, whereas an efficiency person is thinking about the short-term first and the long-term second. It does not mean they're mutually exclusive. It does not mean that you don't think about both. It's just, what do you prioritize? So that salesperson and sales VP is driving, looking at the big board, looking at the lead funnel, looking at the week and monthly sales and quarterly sales. And the marketer is thinking about, where are we going to be a year from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now. It's just how the different types of people are wired. So marketers are wired to be the effectiveness function. Marketers are wired to think of the long term prior to the short term. Marketers are thinking about the customer experience. If you have them at the table and you're asking them to be reactive, and you're not asking them to be involved with the strategy and to drive it, and not asking them to do market research, or if you have them at the table and they're not pushing you to do market research, if they're not coming to you with their thoughts on your market segmentation and how they would change your market segmentation, if they're not talking to you about strategic marketing KPIs and they're focusing mainly on tactical marketing metrics, then that person is the problem. That person is the tactical activation person that you've given an incorrect title and incorrect status. So the first part is, if you don't have them at the table, you have to get them at the table. The second part is, if you have them at the table and it's all in a reactive mode and tactical oriented, then you either have the wrong person at the table and you have a tactical marketer that's still valuable to the company, but isn't the person to have at the leadership table or the annual strategic retreat. If you have the person that wants to do all that, and they're pushing to do segmentation and change the segmentation, they're pushing to change the customer acquisition strategy and the customer experience, if they're doing marketing intel and competitive intel and market research and asking to do that, and you're squelching that, then you've got to change that mindset. Because here's one of my core beliefs. It's that you can't have it both ways. What you as a leader can't do, in my rule book, this is just my rule book, you can't say that you're unhappy with your marketing ROI, but not have a marketing strategist sitting at the table for your leadership team at the weekly meetings and at your strategic retreat. You can't complain that marketing doesn't work, but yet only have tactical implementation as part of your marketing. You can't say that the creative didn't make its mark when you came in and changed all the creative and wanted to make it the way you wanted it, as opposed to the way the art and science of a marketing guru, creative person said. So my core beliefs include not having it both ways. And so what today's podcast is about you as a leader not trying to have it both ways. If you want to complain about marketing, and if you want to hold marketing accountable, and if you want to worry about the marketing ROI, then you need to have a marketing strategist at the table with your leadership team. You need to have a marketing strategist at your annual strategic retreat. You need to have a marketing strategist that's passionate about evaluating and tweaking the customer experience, that's passionate about your customer acquisition strategy, that has the 4 strategic marketing KPIs that matter to CEOs, COOs, and CFOs, and uses them to make decisions, not just tactical marketing metrics. You have a marketing strategist who is looking at the art and science of marketing, not just making something pretty. So I said earlier about how difficult it is for me as well, for all of us. When we go through learning, it can be gratifying and inspirational, but it can be humbling and frustrating. So what I'm trying to tell you today is, if you're that CEO, that president, that founder, that CFO, that COO, take this in, let it go past and ruminate so that you get past the initial frustration that you are being told something that's different than what you've heard and told to change. Absorb it and come back and think about it rationally, because when you think about it rationally, you're going to realize that, yes, you absolutely do have to have a marketing strategist at the table. Marketing can't be run by sales or any efficiency function like finance, HR, or sales. Marketing is an effectiveness function. And people that are talented at being in an effectiveness function aren't going to stand for working for someone in an efficiency function. So then you're going to continually get tactical people unless you change and say, marketing is an effectiveness function. Marketing strategist is at the table. We can now help marketing accountable based on the 4 strategic marketing KPIs that matter, plus the tactical marketing metrics that the marketing team works on. And you can have your tactical activation marketing person still be valuable to the company instead of frustrating you and being put in a box of a legacy person that's been with the client for a long time. You can now have that person thrive doing the marketing tactical part because you have the marketing strategist at the table talking to you and the other leaders, challenging you all on customer acquisition strategy, customer experience, and the message and the story. I hope you enjoyed another episode of the No BS Marketing Show. It's recorded today back again in our studios here in bold, beautiful downtown Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions, no BS.